Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't already subscribed or liked, please do that and hit the notifications button so that you get notified every time I upload new content. I am going to be showing you something really cool today, at least I think it's really cool. Sitting right here is a terrarium that I just recently got for my birthday from my daughter. I was very excited to be able to put this one together. I kind of planned it in my head for a few days beforehand. I wanted to make sure I got everything right. I watched lots of YouTube videos on how to do terrariums properly so that I didn't miss any steps or do anything wrong. I'm going to show you how I put that together, everything that kind of went into it. I'll list all the products in my description below. I love terrariums. There's something incredibly calming and peaceful about them. I love the lushness. I love when you open the lid and it just smells like a tropical locale, especially right now since we can't travel. I kind of do a little bit of a mini vacation every time I open the lid. I find that they're quite challenging to plan out. There's a lot that you have to take into consideration for building height and everything else. I watched a lot of YouTube videos by some amazing terrarium builders and got some ideas. I wanted to be sure that I didn't skip any steps and that I knew what I was doing before I started, or at least semi knew what I was doing before I started. This video that you're about to see will show you the step-by-step that I went through to build it. I had a lot of fun doing it. It took me 3 hours to do it, but it was great. It was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy the video. I'll be back afterwards to show you the finished result close up and let you see how it all turned out. All right, so you can see I put down some Leca. I did that just to keep the substrate from molding and stuff. This will give it more airflow while still keeping that moisture. And then I put another layer of the mesh over top to keep the substrate from leaching down into the Leca and clogging everything up. So then I started putting the substrate on, which was a mixture of ProMix potting soil, ProMix Orchid Bark, and I believe that that is it in this particular case. So I just kept building as I went. I knew I wanted a rise in the back, so I used an old nursery pot to kind of achieve that look. I thought I would try it and see how it turned out. I also used half of a foam ball. It was just from the craft aisle at the dollar store, but I ended up not liking it. So I ended up taking that out. And really it was just about trial and error, getting the look that I wanted. I wasn't really 100% sure what that was going to look like. Sometimes you can't figure that stuff out until you're actually doing it. So I just kind of went with it as I was putting stuff in. So there you can see I took that foam ball out. I figured out that the plant itself was going to provide enough height and I didn't need any more in there. So there is some Photonia, there's crispy wave fern. I also have a bunch of other stuff in there. There's the cork float that I got at my local pet store. It was relatively inexpensive and it broke apart pretty easy, so it let me kind of build the chunk that I needed. I also used a part of it kind of below that rise to kind of almost like a retaining wall. It kept everything in place behind it. It let me plant stuff. So there it is right there. So that's kind of the retaining wall that I built. So I have a heartleaf fern in there, which I've had a heck of a time getting to be happy because it likes constant humidity. And I had it under a cloche, but I figured this would be the perfect environment for it. So I've planted it in here. And I'm just taking stuff out and putting stuff back and kind of moving stuff around. And when I like it, I leave it. If I don't, I move it. There's some Scindapsus. I had 2 cuttings that I had rooted and I put them in here as well. And two jewel orchids. I want them to thrive, so I put those in there in 2 different spots. A bunch of different mosses. Yeah, you can see that Photonia there. And that crispy wave fern, it gave me a lot of problems. I wanted it to be in there so badly. And I also had a section of angel hair fern. I had a large one that decided to just up and die, but I managed to salvage a piece of it. And again, I've had it in a cloche, so I thought it would go well in here. And then I have a syngonium in there as well. Now that syngonium was a part of my my albo variegatum syngonium that I have. And when it started coming up, that particular section had no variegation whatsoever. So I didn't want to encourage that in the plant. I wanted to keep that variegation. So I clipped it off and rooted it because it's still a beautiful plant. And yeah, so I put it in here. I think it looks really pretty. It suits it. And it should be fine in that environment. It's not going to be a situation where it's constantly wet. It's just going to be, you know, humid in there, and it'll be slightly moist. Somewhere along the way, and I don't know why, the camera got bumped. I have no idea what happened there. I don't recall actually bumping it, but I must have. So unfortunately for the rest of the video, it's off center a little bit. But since this was the only recording I had no choice but to use it if I wanted to show off the build. I just kept backfilling a little bit and adding things. I had some strawberry begonias, some little chunks that I had put in there as well. You'll see later when I show the finished product how many different little things I have in there. It was the look that I wanted. It was a really nice and full tropical feel to it. All right, so now you've seen how I put it all together. I had a lot of fun. It was challenging because I had to really rethink a lot of what I was doing as I was doing it. Some stuff didn't want to work, so I had to take it out, as you saw, and put it back in different ways. But this is the finished result. All right, so that's my terrarium. I had a blast building it. I hope you enjoyed watching the process of how it all went together. I hope it maybe inspired you to do your own terrarium. They are not as difficult as it might seem. I absolutely love how this turned out. So I love opening the lid and smelling how jungly and how green everything is. If you have any questions about how I did anything, or if you're wondering how to get started on your own, please let me know and I will get back to you with that. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and until next time, have a great day.